You're listening to Parasearch Radio, news, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. Parasearch UK Radio. Parasearch Radio, broadcasting to the UK and beyond.
The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch Radio or its affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised. You're listening to Kerry Greenaway and Mark Manley on the Dark Mirror Paranormal Show, only on Parasearch Radio.
Good evening and welcome to the Dark Mirror Paranormal Show. I'm Kerry Greenaway, and as always, I'm joined in the studio by my lovely, lovely, lovely Mark Manley. Good evening, Mark Manley. How are you tonight?
Good evening, Kerry. How are you? Apart from
You sound like Mr. Evil tonight. I'm a little worried.
Little worried?
Little worried.
Well, you are little, bless. I didn't know about worried.
I am little. People don't realise this. They think I'm quite big because of my personality, and then they meet me and they go, "Oh, you're quite little, really, aren't you?"
Oh, personality and ego has gradually been rediscovered over the years when it's been buried with the giants. So, you know.
Yeah, I can't deny.
Bloody true.
It's true. It's true. I accept that. So, my beautiful man, what are we talking about tonight?
Beautiful man. Have you seen me lately? Double, bald, tattoos. You should have gone to Specsavers.
I quite like bald, tattooed men.
Oh, really? What, with stubble?
Anyway, what are we talking about tonight, apart from that particular subject, which you won't get off of?
Oh, I'm just bloody gorgeous anyway. We are talking about Japanese ghost stories because, quite frankly, I wanted to do Japanese and Chinese, but there's too much out there, so we could do Japanese one week and Chinese next week because there's a very big difference between them.
There is a huge difference between the two. I will admit that.
And the Japanese, the Japanese tend to be a lot more macabre than the Chinese. One of the Chinese things that I'm going to do in one of our shows is the Chinese vampires, and they're hilarious because they hop. You can stop them by sticking. They hop. They look like bunnies and they hop, and you stick a piece of rice paper with a prayer on it to their head, and they stop. That's it. No more vampire. They just go, ding, and they stop. Japanese things, they go, tentacled, Hayabusa flipping things coming out their bottoms and Christ knows what else, and want to drag you up to hell in thin slices. So, you know, very macabre.
Oh, my goodness me. Anyway, let's have a look at this. Let's have a look at Chinese ghosts to start with, because I just...
In Japanese?
No, we'll go for Chinese first of all. I can't apologise enough.
Can I say one thing? I was born in Hong Kong. We lived out there for a little bit, so that's why we do it. Yeah, didn't you know that?
No. Oh, I went a bit
Seriously?
sneaky there.
How long have you known us?
I know. I did not know that you were born in Hong Kong.
I was born in Kowloon, Hong Kong, BMH Kowloon, Hong Kong. We lived out there for a while. That's why I do the martial arts, and I love all the Chinese things, and that's why I got dragons up my arms and everything. So yeah, we lived out there for a while.
Ah, now dragons are a show we're going to do next week.
Well, look at that! 2 dragons!
Oh, I know. We're going to cover out dragons next week. See, I'd just like to throw this at you on the night, the week before we do the show. Anyway, let's have a look at ghost stories of China, because bless her, Kaz, I don't know where she is tonight, but I hope you're well. And she's done some amazing...
Kaz, are you drunk again?
She's done some amazing research. Now, ghost stories were the earliest form of literature in ancient China, and they were a very oral tradition rather than written. Oh my God.
Written.
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 That's the Essex version. Written, mate. It's written.
Written. Yeah, we all know what Essex girls use as protection, bus shelters.
Oh, it's going to be that kind of show tonight, I feel.
I'll tell you one thing. I've got to give you a quick joke. How do you know when... we are after the 9 p.m. watch show, aren't we? Yes. How do you know when an Essex girl's had an orgasm? She drops her bag of chips. Anyway.
Tumbleweed. The tumbleweed just went across the studio.
You were trying not to laugh. You had a face like an impacted bullock, so we know you were trying not to laugh.
Anyway. Oh, my God. Where was I? Anyway, ghosts were taken very seriously by the ancient Chinese, apparently, Marky.
Yes, they were, because they were your venerated ancestors, basically.
Basically, yeah. I mean, there was like a lot of... I didn't realise, in regards to the ghosty thing, that this was such a thing. I knew there was like a lot of mythology.
You know it?
I know. Yeah, it's going well tonight. There was a lot of mythology and stuff in China, but I didn't realise the ghost thing was as big a...
Very, very important. It's all to do, like I said, all to do with your ancestors and honouring your family, and it's more, the Chinese side is more, as I say, ancestors, family. There's reasons why there's ghosts there, and it's always to do with either guarding something to do with the family or something to do with the family. Japanese is more just, as I said, tentacles, weird stuff. Vending machines on the corner selling things that they shouldn't sell. Anything to do with Japanese ghosts and urban legends and myths are just all messed up. Look at the Ring.
Well, I haven't seen this. This is a thing. I haven't seen, you know me, in films and TV. I'm starting to watch a little more. I'm being forced into it. And
the original, the Japanese one you need to watch, not the...
I don't really want to watch any of them, to be fair. I don't like horrors. But talking of which, I changed the subject a little bit, and we will get onto Chinese stuff. But I saw something called Stranger Things last night.
Was that when you took your underwear off?
No. You're so
okay.
rude. No, this was a series, and it was awesome. We've watched the first...
Taylor likes it. Yeah, my daughter
awesome. I'm only on the second one. I've seen 1 and 2. And we're going to continue watching this. But, oh, my God, it was so awesome. Anyway, back to Chinese ghosts. We could go off on tangents quite a lot tonight.
Oh, don't worry about it. We do that.
In modern-day China, ghosts only have the power to harm if one actually believes in them. Oh, hello, cat. If one actually believes in them. But in ancient China, they were a reality, regardless. And it basically was, I mean, obviously, ghosts is when a person dies, their soul journeys across a bridge to the afterlife. That's a common theme in a lot of different religions and cultures. But in China, they were judged as whether they were worthy or unworthy on this crossing. So if they'd lived a good life, they carried on across said bridge. And if they had done evil, oh my goodness, they fell off a bridge and into hell.
And also the emperors and everybody of the upper caste, they went to live on the mountain with the gods.
Well,
they went to live on the mountain with the Jade Emperor.
Well, if they did reach the other side, they either were reincarnated or went on to live with the gods, depending on your belief system. Because there's lots and lots of different versions, isn't there, in China?
Yeah, and you've also got the different provinces, and whether it was nearer to Mongolia or whether it was nearer to the other side of Asia, it's all different. But the main thing that did ring true with all of the Chinese ones, no matter what the religion, ancestors, family values and honour.
Exactly. Now, this all started with the burial bit.
This is why when I teach martial arts, I wear black. I don't wear white, because white is a Chinese funeral colour. And that's why I don't wear white.
Oh, you see? You learn something new every single day of the week. Now, I love this bit. This is awesome, right? In China, the ground under the earth was actually considered the property of the gods. Right? So cemeteries...
Can I just say one thing? James Steele, that is one of the worst dad jokes I've ever seen. They're very, very superstitious, even more than Stevie Wonder. Badumts.
I can see how tonight's show's going to go, can you? Just me and Mark. It goes crazy when it's just me and Mark. I need Kaz on board to even him out and get some sense into the studio. Anyway, right, the Earth. Let's talk about the Earth. The Earth was considered the property of the gods. Now, cemeteries were located outside of towns and cities in rural areas. And there were Earth spirits that were known as... I apologise for pronunciations in advance, everybody. Tudigong.
Close enough, that'll do.
Thanks. I thought you had Tudigong then. I couldn't see you. I can see him in the studio and he just disappeared. I was like, oh, he Tudigonged.
Tudigong, Tootie back.
He Tudigonged and then Tootie came back. Oh, God. Anyway, but one could not just go down and dig a grave without first honouring the gods and local spirits. And you had to purchase the land from them. I love this bit, right? The relatives of the deceased would choose a spot, any old spot, and then write up a legal contract purchasing that plot from the gods and spirits. Now, this contract cited the dead person's name, titles, and date of death, and the exact dimensions of the plot, the price for the land, and signatures of the witnesses. Now, they placed the document in the grave and then honoured it by paying a certain amount of cash. But this is the best bit. Because, obviously, physical money is no use in the afterlife, they used to just write it on a piece of paper.
Well, it was the you know, the idea when you burn something, that's the spirit of that item goes up to the gods. So that's why.
No, I know, but I mean, how brilliant is that? I wonder if you could do that in shops.
Yeah, see that Ferrari over there? Yeah, look, see this check with like £750,000 on it. Yeah, see this lighter? Magic. There you go.
It has no use for you in the afterlife, so I will burn it in front of you, and you must accept that as payment.
You'd be thrown out.
Please set fire to the shop.
Anyway,
and then they would burn this. Anyway, once all this was accomplished and the signs were received, although it doesn't tell us what signs they were that they should have received, the person could then be buried. So I wonder what signs they were, Mark. What do you think they could be?
A lot of them were to do with the animals. Just an animal looking another way, or a goat looking at you wonderingly. Could be taken. Seriously, I'm not kidding. In rural China, signs like that were commonplace. Like if you woke up, went to bed one night, and your goats were facing all same way in the field. Next morning you woke up, they're facing the other way. First of all, that's a national crime in Somerset. But secondly, that would be a sign in China.
I was thinking that. It just shows the cultural differences across the world, doesn't it?
It does, but I mean, if the farmer gets caught standing behind the goat with his trousers down, then that's a totally different kind of sign, and they tended to beat them with sticks for that. So.
Anyway.
That's enough about Somerset.
I know, let's moving swiftly on. Anyway, they also used to put grave goods into the grave, didn't they? Which was like favourite objects. Are you sure they put grave goods
into the grave?
Pardon?
Sure, they put grave goods into the grave. You sounded a bit iffy there. So, or did they put it into gravy?
Graves.
Okay.
Gravies on a Sunday.
One of the best things that if you were Chinese back then, and you had popped your clogs, one of the best things anybody from your family could do was put something that was made out of jade in there.
Yeah, jade is awesome.
The Jade Emperor. Jade
is absolutely awesome, but you have to be careful in the spirit world, in the crystal world, because there is something called new jade, which is actually called jadeite, which isn't pure jade. It's a variation, same colour, very difficult to discern the differences between the two. But real jade and pure jade carvings that you get from China are literally absolutely awesome. So if you're going out to buy jade, just be really, really careful what you're buying. Make sure you buy from a reputable seller, like myself. Or a little plug there.
Oh, yeah, there's a hand come up.
Yeah, see? Reputable seller. That's me. Anyway, going back to this. Now, where were we? Favourite objects of food. Now, all of this reminds me very, very much of Mexico.
Yeah.
When I was reading into this reminded me very much of Mexico. For the parents and grandparents, the minimum was 3 years. This is the time of mourning that people had to do. So if your parent or your grandparent died, the minimum was 3 years, during which you had to wear special mourning clothes. Now, this would kill me. You could not attend parties, listen to or play music, and in the case of government positions, you couldn't go to work either.
Awesome.
So yeah, but you actually had to resign.
Oh.
And if you did, and if you didn't resign, if you forgot to tell them, because you couldn't afford to lose your job, it carried a penalty of exile or hard labour. That's really bad, isn't it?
Hard labour, is that a woman who's got sextuplets?
You what?
Hard labour. Is that a woman who's got sextuplets? Just about to give birth?
Possibly.
It's lost on you, isn't it? It's just lost. I can see the blank expression on your face.
It'll click in a minute and I'll go, hey, that's what you meant. Yes. These rules and many others applied to royalty as well as to the peasant class, and if any of these steps was not done properly or ignored, the soul of the deceased would return to earth. You know what? If I lived in China, my parents would die deliberately to make me stop partying, listening to music. You know what I mean? They would do that just to spite me, I'm sure.
Paul in the chat room saying about the suicide forest in Japan. Okigahara. Yes. There is that, and there's lots and lots and lots of legends to do with that. But at the moment, we're talking about China.
Yes, so we will get to that, Mr. Rook, so stop jumping ahead of the story. Oh, my God.
Oh. Gee, how can you tell?
I mean, can't control our chat room at times. Anyway, there are two parts to the soul, the Po and the Hun.
Why have they got Germans there?
No idea. The Po was the yin aspect of the soul, which is associated with darkness, water and the earth. And it was the governor of the physical nature of man and gave form to the fetus in the womb. Now, the Po was the animal nature of man, instincts and urges that first become apparent after birth when the behaviour of an infant was clearly centred on the fulfilment of its self-centred needs. I know quite a lot of people who still work with the Po most.
I'm looking at one of them now.
That's wrong, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, yeah. They work with the Po.
They work with the Po. In fact,
It's
actually, I might use that little... I might have to start using that one. Oh, you're working with your Po, are you? Anyway, the Hun was the yang aspect of the soul, which was associated with light, fire and the heavens, and it governed the intelligence of man. At birth, it was weak, but evolved and strengthened as the child's reason developed, especially after that age of 6 when the education began. It reached full maturity at the age of 20, but it did not fully perfect itself until the age of 50.
Well, I'm nearly there then.
These two parts of the soul worked together to make life possible for a person. The Hun, the reason, governed the Po, which was the instinct. Oh, goodness me. But the Hun and the Po, in order, you need both, basically, in order to survive. And then after death, these two aspects could return to cause problems for the living if the proper burial rites had not been observed, or for other reasons such as unfinished business, like a vow that had been taken to right a wrong or just to have a visit, as you do.
Yeah. Especially if you need the Po very quickly.
Anyway, we're going to now look at Po and Hun hauntings.
You want me to do it, or would you like to do it?
No, you continue with the Po and the Hun, because I literally am losing my brain.
That's not first then, is it?
Excuse me, I've still got this cold left over.
Yeah, well, me and Taylor still coughing my guts up as well, but that's just because I'm old. Anyway, stories of ghosts haunting a house where they once lived, haunting relatives, or appearing to strangers for help are all examples of Po hauntings. What about Lala and Dipsy? In spirit, it's still attached to the earth because proper rituals were not observed to release it. One of the best known stories of this type is about the ghost of a young girl who visits a home with some brothers. The spirit is so irritated they caught it, put it in a bag and stuffed it down a well. Really? The next night it came back, carrying the bag, and haunted them again. They stuffed it back into the bag, tied a rock to it, and threw it in the river. again the next night, though the little girl came back, and this time the brothers put her in a hollowed-out log, which they capped on each end and set adrift on the river. The spirit thanked them for a proper burial and never bothered them again. So you've got to flush that away.
So they should have just bothered to do that in the first place. I mean, how cheap is that? You just hollow out a log, shove it in there, and then off she goes and says, thanks.
You know what they did, don't you? It was a Poe haunting, and they flushed the log away. Anyway, Charles Bent gives examples of these kinds of stories, citing one where a teacher named Tam fell ill and began to die. That's because he really needed to know. In a dream, he saw a figure standing in a road telling him, I am returning your soul to you, and throwing orange robes at him. So, throwing orange robes at him? He really made a monk rather miffed. The next morning, he recovered from the sickness, and the orange robes symbolised the clothing of the soul, the unique aspect of it, which was the heart. You'll take these rolls! Me love you long time, $20. Another story.
Oh, dear.
Two friends, Zhao and Lu, made a pact that whoever died first would return to tell the other what the afterlife is like. So some months after Lu died, Zhao heard a knock at his door one night and the voice of his friend requesting he douse his lamps and let him in to speak in the dark. As they were talking, Zhao was disturbed by the smell of a rotting corpse and found that Lu's Hun had possessed the body of a barbarian who'd been dead 7 days. Bit whiffy.
Yummy.
Another tale, emphasising the importance of keeping one's word, tells of Marshall Lee, who wanted to marry a young girl, but was refused by her mother. Lee had to have her. Oh, yeah.
His Poe was well in advance there, wasn't it?
He was. His Poe was, a bit rampant. And he vowed he would never marry if he could not marry her. He proved himself so devoted and persistent that the mother let him marry her daughter. And he swore to be a faithful lover. Faithful forever.
Faithful lover, faithful forever. Either or.
After a few years, the girl died. And only 1 year after Lee arranged to marry somebody else. That's not very good, because he was supposed to spend 3 years mourning. Oh, dear. Just before his marriage, when he was soaking in his bathtub, the Hun of his first wife appeared, reminding him how he had promised he would never marry anyone else. She sprinkled herbs into his bath and vanished. Lee began to feel soft and weak and so bloated he couldn't move. And basically, long story short, his penis and testicles shriveled up, disappeared, and he died in the bathtub.
See? You make a vow to a girl, then you have to keep to it, because she will come back and haunt you after she's dead. Sprinkle herbs in your bath and you will shrivel up and die.
And when he was found, his bones and tendons had dissolved as well. In addition to the importance of keeping one's word, this tale emphasised how you should always observe a proper period of mourning.
Yeah. Right. This is where we get into some real stories, right? The types of ghosts. Okay, so let's talk about... My God. Let's talk about... Oh, my goodness. The Shugu. Shugu?
Quay.
It's the water ghost.
G. J.
You are?
G. So just say G or Key.
Key.
Yeah, say that. Key is your chi and stuff, but it almost sounds similar when you pronounce it. So.
Oh, whatever. Water ghost. Now, this was the spirit of someone who was drowned and whose body was never recovered or honoured with a proper burial. And the Shigi, haunted the waters where they died and lured people in to drown them. After their victim was dead, the water ghost could move on, but the victim's spirit took its place and waited for the next person who could be caught off guard. So it's like an never-ending circle, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Just say Shugu.
Shugu. Talismans and amulets were worn to protect one from a Shugu when going near water or swimming.
Oh, dear. And then you got
I love this one. Zombie ghost. Yeah.
The Jiangxi was a kind of zombie ghost. The name means stiff body, who steals the breath from a person. Ben writes how the Chinese believed that the breath, qi, there you go, see I talked about qi, was the vital energy on which life depended, qi or qi. Stiff. And these spirits sought to steal them away from themselves. Jiangshi would continue to pursue a person until their breath was taken. Actually, medieval Europeans used to think that cats curled up on babies' cribs because they sucked the breath out of them. But because the spirit was already in the land of the dead, it could not return to life. And because it continued stealing the breath of life from others, it could not move on. Jiangshi are also known as hopping ghosts. Remember I told you about the vampires?
Yes, you did.
Yeah, because their spirits and bodies are so stiff, they seem to hop instead of walk. They are predatory ghosts who had to be warded off by charms and spells, and they're not allowed near playgrounds. Belief in this type of ghost, especially, belief in this type of ghost, especially, but others also, had a significant impact on Chinese culture, as seen in a number of aspects. The false front or shadow wall, just outside the front doors of Chinese houses, are originated to fool such ghosts who would be unable to find the actual front door. I'm sorry, if you're a ghost and you go back to your house where you died, you'll be like, why you all put a fake door here? And if you're a ghost, you walk through it and go, well, that didn't bloody stop me, did it? Bloody cheeky bugger, innit? And especially the Jiangshi, they were thought to only be able to travel in straight lines. This is very, very true. The Jiangshi and the vampire ones, they're the same things. They hop and can only go in a straight line, and you can control them with spells.
I have to say, and I'm unless it's like, I would probably laugh at a hopping ghost.
Look, I'll show you. Right? You guys can't see this, but they have their hands like that, like a rabbit, yeah?
Like a kangaroo.
And they go like that.
Hopping.
And that's all they do, in a straight line. And that's why the roads in China are so full of curves, is so that the ghosts can't go along them, because they only go in straight lines.
Oh my God, I would laugh. I think I would. I would be too busy laughing that they would then be able to get me.
And Paul Rook says, same as a harpy. No, mate, you put that on the carpet to make it smell nice. He puts them down the loo as well.
Oh my goodness me. So, right, so where were we? We were on they were travelling straight lines. This is why roads are always curvy, so that ghosts cannot haunt them.
This is why I like curvy women, you see.
But accidents on roads in China are frequently attributed to ghosts, even though they
Have you seen how they drive over there?
Well, they don't even drive in a straight line, do they?
Bloody lunatics!
Absolute bonkers. Anyway, considering that they actually build their roads curvy so that they don't get haunted, the amount of accidents that are attributed to ghosts is actually quite high, because a driver will claim that a ghost stepped in front of their car and that they swerved to avoid it. That's like it's one of them weird. Because an insurance company would turn around and go, no, we deliberately build the roads curvy so this doesn't happen. And the driver would say, yeah, but I had to swerve because a ghost stepped out in front of me. Yeah, but it can't, because it can't haunt it because the roads are curvy. Yes, but it did. It stepped out in front of me, which is why I drove so weirdly. And I crashed because of this. Yes, but ghosts can't haunt curvy roads. You can sort of see how this would go round and round in circles, can't you? So do insurance companies ever pay out on ghost-inflicted road accidents, is the question.
Well, as James Steele says in the chat room there, he liked our story about the orange bulbs. And I'll tell you what, Kerry, just for you, there is a province in China with some brass and copper discs that have been found in a mountain that describes blonde people that used to live in China. And they descended skies in a broken spaceship. So, aliens! I said aliens!
God, he did it. He brought it into it. Every week we try, and every week we fail. Anyway, the protector gods, known as Mention, were also invoked. The Mention were gods of peaceful sleep, who were often painted on either side of a doorway to guard against evil demons or ghosts. Now, dogs were a great protection against ghosts of all kinds, especially the Jiangshi. Oh, God. Dogs were once killed and buried in front of a house so that their spirit could ward off ghosts. Now, this reminds me of how olden days they used to do this with cats, didn't they, in England?
That's right, yeah. And they used to put them in the wall cavities as well.
Like the chimney and stuff, didn't they? But eventually people used straw dogs for this. And now this has sort of evolved into dog statues.
Assholes?
Statues. Even in modern day China, you will find a dog statue outside the front of a door of a home. Now that you still see, I see that. I know that.
Yeah, it's very true.
I see
a
that.
lot of people mistake them for lions as well half the time. They do. You know the big dog statues you see at the Forbidden City and stuff like that? A lot of them get mistaken for lions, and they're not actually lions.
No, they're doggies.
Oh, dogs! Damn it!
Anyway, human beings were not the only creature who had souls which could return or demand justice from the grave. Dogs and cats and other animals could as well. In one famous story, now you've got to love this name, right? Coffin Head Lee.
Oh my God! There's a Discworld character called Coffin Henry.
Well, maybe this is his inspiration for Coffin Henry. Coffin Head Lee was a bully who killed cats and dogs. A bit of a psychopath by the sounds of it. Anyway, one day he was approached by two men who identified themselves as ghosts and told him that a case had been made against him in the afterlife by the souls of 460 cats and dogs. Now, Coffin Head Lee was found guilty and taken away. What? Taken away? Was he killed? Did he die? Was he taken to the afterlife and forever punished for his souls of the... It's not a very good story, this one.
No, if he'd been tried by a ghostly court, I would have thought he'd be taken away to the afterlife. Or limbo, at least.
Limbo.
Yeah, when Chinese spirits get taken in limbo, they put up two sticks like that, put a bar over it, and they have to dance underneath it.
Well, I was thinking that's the kind of limbo I know.
We all know about your kind of limbo, missus.
Anyway, before we continue with types of ghosties and ghoulies, we are going to have a little break because we are actually going to follow the rules tonight.
What rules?
I know. We are following the rules tonight, so bear with us, guys. We're going to just have a little quick break.
Hello, Harry Price here. Good evening. If there's nothing myself and everybody else enjoy here on the other side more is the sit back and relax and listen to Parasearch Radio with its paranormal news, views and reviews from across the UK and beyond. Make sure to find out more about them on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web, whatever they are, to keep up to date with all their broadcasts throughout the week. And I hope you enjoy them as much as we do over here. Hello? Is anybody there?
Hello? Is anybody there? I love that bit. Oh, dear. Anyway, welcome back. You're listening to the Dark Mirror Show. I am here. Kerry Greenaway is here with my lovely Mark Manley. And tonight we're talking Chinese ghosties and ghoulies and all sorts of stuff like that is what we're doing.
Me love you a long time. $20, $50. $50.
That's later.
Yeah, you wish bloody couldn't bloody afford, mate. Right.
Oh dear. Anyway, so we left on the Chinese door ghosts, and we talked about Coffin Head Lee, who we couldn't really understand this story. It was a bit of a silly story. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what? Carry on talking. I'm going to see what I can just quickly find about Coffin Head Lee, because you can't just leave that there.
You can't, can you? You can't just leave that one there.
Oh, I did lie.
It's a really bad story, if that's the story. Anyway, the Nugu could act like a succubus and draw the Hun aspect from the soul of men, killing them. They would only scare women, but they would always kill the men. Hell yeah. Now, there were also the Kushan, which are nature demons who were sprites of the earth. Now, these were not necessarily the same kind of spirits as the Tudigon. I love that, Tudigon, which were the other spirits. The Kushan spirits were like the Tudigon, but they'd never really been human beings and were immortal. So these are more like elementals, aren't they?
You would have thought, well, anything like the water sprites, because it's the same as like the Airbender films. You've got the water, you've got all the elements.
Yeah.
They
They like their elements in China.
They do.
But they weren't usually malicious or mischievous. Oh, goodness me, I can't even speak tonight. As always, it's Friday. It's a Friday night. What were you expecting, guys? Anyway.
Can I just say one thing? The earth spirit, Tudigon, There's two sides to them. You've got male and female. The male is Tudigong and the female is Trudigong.
Trudy. Trudy Scrumptious. Anyway, the Tudigong were more like, they were immortal, weren't they? And they were not bound to like a specific place. So they were usually thought to be mischievous or evil. They were not considered as bad as the Oni, though. The Oni were evil spirits who could possess a person, lead a person astray, possess a home, and bring all kinds of trouble to people. The Oni may have been human beings once, or maybe eternal spirits. It's a little bit, what are they? And one example of the Oni is a spirit type known, oh my goodness me, spirit type known as the Ba Zhao Gu.
Yeah. That'll do. That was almost spot on.
Oh, thank you. And this is a spirit of a person who is addicted to gambling in life and dies or commits suicide before paying off debts. The person then becomes an Ba Zhao Gu, who is an extremely ugly spirit who haunts others. Oh my God, this is just so confusing. Anyway, the most famous type of ghost in China is actually the hungry ghost. And if it gets hangry...
It gets hangry.
Then all hell breaks loose. This type emerged sometime after the 1st century when Buddhism came to China and was actually a Buddhist belief from India. Now, hungry ghosts are the spirits of people who always wanted more than they had. They were never grateful for what they were given, and they cannot find peace in the afterlife any more than they could.
So you mean Taylor?
Lived.
You mean my daughter, don't you?
They are. I think there's quite a few people like this these days. They are often depicted as people with enormous stomachs but teeny tiny mouths and necks which no amount of food could ever fill. And hungry ghosts can appear as living people asking for food, and if one does not give them any, they can curse the person and bring disaster on one's home and loved ones. The term hungry ghost always applies to this type of spirit, but all ghosts were thought to be hungry in the afterlife, and rituals were developed to keep them fed and happy.
I curse your hot dog.
Hot dog. That's another song.
You know what? I've always thought that with hot dogs, when you make them, you can always tell if somebody's been watching far too much Pornhub because they always fit in the hand before they make the hot dogs. Anyway.
Tumbleweed again, guys. Tumbleweed.
I was watching your eyebrows and I was fascinated at how they can move independently in circles.
They did that the other day when I met a flat earthist.
Oh, no. If the Earth, I'm sorry, I'm going to jump in on this one. If the Earth was flat, as all these idiots seem to think... No, sorry, if the Earth was flat, then everything near the edge of the Earth would have been knocked off by cats.
That's what I said to the man.
Yeah.
That was the only response. It's the only response I could think of that was, to try and change the subject away from. I didn't want to delve into that subject at all because my face must have been a picture to start with, and I just thought all I can do is make a joke. That's all I can do about this.
So the fact that the International Space Station circles our Earth in its orbit, it doesn't sort of go straight and then go down a couple of feet and then go straight again for a few miles,
A bit like Tetris.
Yeah.
Paul. Styly. Blip, 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 blip.
Yeah, exactly.
Blip, 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 blip. Yeah. No.
Paul says what's a hungry ghost?
Aeroplanes. Surely somebody would have gone to the end of the Earth by now. Surely somebody would have found the edge.
I personally think that the flat earthists, I'm a complete Discworld nut and I've read every single book, but I think these people read the Discworld and take it as literal. Because that's a flat Earth. I
actually need to look into this a little bit. Because I can't believe that actually, when they're talking flat Earth, I can't believe they actually mean it being completely flat.
If they think it's flat, it's a disc and it's flat.
Yeah, but I can't believe. No, that must be a misinterpretation of something. Surely.
Well, you've got to remember, before we circumnavigated the globe, I was going to say seamen, but I won't say that because you'll raise your eyebrows. People that went around the world in boats thought it was flat. Because when you look at old maps, you had the edge of the world.
Well, but we know better now.
We do know better now, but obviously some people are a bit disillusioned.
Disillusioned? Yeah. Anyway, going back to the show about China. Crazy folks. Yes, that's right, James, they are crazy. And Paul, actually going back to the Chinese thing, being as that's what we're talking about, says, was the Hunger Ghost the inspiration for Pac-Man?
No, my ex was.
Anyway, let's have a look at views of ghosts and practices.
Views of ghosts and practices.
The reality of ghosts like these gave rise to practices and rituals to protect people from them. The best defence against such ghosts was to live an exemplary life, and this was why ghost stories were and are even so often told to children, which is like, again, a cross-cultural thing. Just they do this everywhere. They do it everywhere. If one did not want to be killed by a nugu one day, one should not abuse women who would become one, nor should one let oneself be abused. And if one went swimming, one should be careful of safety so as to not drown, clearly. And proper respect should be given to one's elders, superiors and ancestors in life so that they would not feel wronged after death. And one should always keep one's word to others.
Yeah.
One's word is one's bond.
Family honour. Yeah.
Yeah, plus also it was really important that the burial practices were always observed, no matter how much cost or trouble they required.
They still do a lot of those practices even up to this day in Chinese burials, and it's quite good to see.
Now they do a festival, a ritual which is still observed in China today, which is just screams Mexico to me. I think the only place we don't really do this is like the UK, isn't it? Europe. We're a bit disrespectful to our dead. Once they've gone, they've gone. It's okay. Now and again, we might visit and put flowers on the grave, but there's huge festivals across other cultures that really go to town. And the one in China is called Tomb Sweeping Day, which happens during the Qingming Festival. Yes?
Qingming.
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 Qingming. I see. I'm crap at this sort of thing. That happens around the 4th of April. And if one had... See, we're back to one. If one has neglected the graves of one's parents, relatives or friends all year, one will go and tend those graves on Tomb Sweeping Day and pay their respects. Now,
that's a good idea.
Also, the Ghost Festival is also still observed, and this celebration is also known as the Hungry Ghost Festival, to appease the souls of the dead so they will not bother the living. Now, this particular festival takes place on the 15th day of the 7th month, so it actually took place on the 17th of August this year. It's almost like their Halloween.
I was just about to say, when you look at it, it's every single religion, no matter what the religion is, and every single belief system, no matter what the belief system is, all have similar bits in common with each other. And you remember what we were saying, and what we were saying before, and one of the past shows about that every single holy book having exact same cataclysms happen at around the exact same time.
Yeah, it does seem to be the case.
Okay.
But this really reminds me of the Day of the Dead. I love the Mexico one. I might have to look into this one a little bit more because I hadn't heard of this one before. Now, in Ghost Month, they have a whole month of it. It's great. And particularly during the festival, there are certain rules that you must fulfill. One should not... We're back to ones. What is it with the one thing? One should not sit in front rows at the theatre because those seats will be the seats that the ghost wants and they will be offended. You should not place one's shoes or sandals facing the bed. Oh, I'm going to have to do this one. Or the ghost will take that as an invitation to sleep with the person. Is that your shoes? Is that your shoes? You're not, or is it you could choose a person, grab their shoes and place them facing your bed, and then they've got to come and sleep with you?
It's your shoes. You can't put your shoes with the toes facing towards the bed. You have to.
Otherwise, I say that as an invitation. You could end up with anybody then.
Oh, because your ancestors can step into your shoes.
Ooh,
if they're facing the other way,
that's wrong.
So you could have like pervy Uncle Howard from 70 years ago stepping into your sandals there and go, where's my strong arm muscly paper boy?
One should not stay out too late, or a ghost might follow you home. And this is more often said by parents to their teenage children. Yeah, I think they made that one up. I think they just added that in.
Granddad will follow you home.
That is just made up, isn't it? Just so your kids don't stay out late. I'm going to try that one on my kids, see if that works.
They're just going to look at you and laugh.
Yeah, my kids would.
Yeah.
Ryder would just give me the look that I give you, which is the raised eyebrow as if to say, what the heck are you talking about?
Yeah.
No one should go swimming because the shugu are stronger and more numerous during this time. You shouldn't do any kind of home renovation or construction because the noise bothers the ghosty ghosts. You're not allowed to wear your high heels, girlies. Sorry, you can't do that because the noise, the click-clacking of the heels really upsets them. And women wearing high heels run the risk of being possessed by an angry spirit. And freshly washed clothes should not be hung up towards the evening because a ghost will try them on, and this actually brings bad luck to the person who wears them next. That's interesting.
I got a vision of you, yourself, or Lindsay washing your smalls, hanging your thong out on the washing line about 5 o'clock, and then you look out in the back garden at 7 o'clock, and all you can see is this seafood person going, "Oh, look at that! All rather fetching." I was like cracking your ass at it, doesn't it?
Think, I'll wear that later. Oh my god, with my high
You
heels
just see your thong going across the garden.
Anyway. Now, the taboos go on and cover almost any kind of circumstance where one could imagine, from not urinating outside, because you might end up going on somebody who you can't see, like a ghost.
Is it? Damn it! Stop it!
You can't leave an umbrella open on the porch, because a ghost might decide to rest under it and then take up residence.
We have that superstition over here, though, about umbrellas. You can't have them open inside, can you?
You can't have them open inside, but that's usually because it'd have somebody's eye out if you tried doing it.
I don't think that's why that superstition started.
I don't know about that one, but yeah, that's what I reckon.
Yeah. So when umbrellas were first invented, some wise old say to him, "Do not ever open ye brolly indoors." Why? Because you'll have someone's eye out.
Because what makes more sense? You'll have someone's eye out. That's logical. Or if you leave it out, a ghost is going to take residence under it and haunt your home forever.
Think Life of Brian. Think the stages in that talking about having someone's eye out.
I haven't seen that film for ages. All I remember about the Life of Brian is he's a naughty, naughty boy. He's not the Messiah. Yeah, the Messiah, yeah. He's
naughty boy.
Exactly. It's been so long since I've seen that film. Anyway, these rituals have a very long history and were observed as much as they could, even during the time when the Communist Party of China actually banned religion and religious practices. Celebrations of the Ghost Festival include public altars and parades where food is thrown into the air. Food fights!
This sounds quite cool. Yeah?
That sounds cool. The ghosts are thought to be hungry, so food is provided for them in homes and also in public places. Altars of fresh fruit and sweet cakes are set up on city streets and town squares. In the past, and still to this day, the incense is burned in front of homes in remembrance of one's ancestors and to give a pleasing little smell to the spirits as they walk by.
We should be like this over here. We shouldn't be so repressed, you know?
We are quite repressed, really, when you listen to other people's cultures in regards to this. Now, many shops and towns and cities close during the festival so that ghosts will not be disturbed by shoppers. And I wish, well, no, I don't. As the festival ends, people send small lotus lanterns which they place on paper boats and send off on waters of streams, lakes or rivers. And the lanterns let the ghosts know that their time of visiting with the living is over and they have to return to the underworld. The ghosts are thought to be attracted by the lanterns and will follow them back home to the afterlife. When the lantern goes out, it is a sign from above that the ghost following it has reached the other side and is at peace.
They have the Lantern Festival and they have the Moon Festival, and they do exactly the same thing, and it's actually really beautiful to see.
I've seen photographs of this and it does look incredibly beautiful.
Very poignant. It is very poignant as well.
I can imagine. It must be quite atmospheric.
Anything to do with lanterns is... when Damien passed away, we lit a load of sky lanterns and let them go as well, didn't we? And that was quite moving, that. So, yeah.
That's true. Now, one thing I want to do, I do want to talk about this forest place.
Hang on. Where is he? Oh, hang on, I've got him up here. You're on about the one in Japan?
The Japanese forest, and I can't even begin to pronounce this. Akigahara, otherwise known as the Suicide Forest.
Did you get your booty out of my face, please? Thank you.
Oh dear. Now, since the 1950s, Japanese businessmen have wandered in, and at least 500 of them haven't wandered out.
Akigahara.
This is an interesting rate of about 20 to 30 a year, but recently these numbers have increased even more, with a record of 78 suicides in 2002, and in 2003 that record was beaten with a number of 105 bodies discovered.
Wow. They actually regularly have people there. You've got I can't remember the gentleman's name, but there is a guy that basically camps there, and he stops people from going in the forest, and he chats to them if they seem depressed, and he tries to persuade them out of it.
Now, is this a case of just going for a wander in the woods and getting lost and dying?
No, because they're actually stringing themselves up in the trees.
Oh, that would do it.
They have a permanent team there that goes into the forest. I think it's once a week. I can't be sure. It's once or twice a week, and they go into the forest to find the bodies. And normally, what they'll do is the first sign they get, they find the tents and the sleeping bags and stuff, and then they sort of look around the area and then they'll find them.
If you're going to go and commit suicide, why would you take a tent and a sleeping bag?
Because Japanese, remember, they have to contemplate whether to do it or not.
Oh, right. Japanese spiritualists, believe that the suicides committed in the forest have permitted the trees generating paranormal activity and preventing many who enter from escaping the forest depths. However, that particular area is actually really rich in deposits of magnetic iron in the area's volcanic soil, which, if you've got a compass, it really messes it up. So you do not stand a chance of using a compass. So it could be a little bit of that. Get lost in
people do get lost, but the one thing I will say is, the one thing I will say is, if you keep walking in a straight line and carry on going either up or down, you will come out of it, because it's on a mountain. It is. If you walk up, you'll get to the top. If you walk down, you'll come out of it. If you go to the left or the right, you're dead.
But you say that, but it's really difficult in woods to keep your bearings, particularly thick-set woods.
Well, it is, especially when you can't speak Japanese. So, you know.
Well, can't ask a tree, can you? And you have to go round.
And there's somebody who's hanging in the tree.
It's easy to lose your bearings in a forest.
I've got to have my bearings changed in my car as well.
Now, the police used to mount signs on the trees saying that your life is a precious gift from your parents. Please consult the police before you decide to die. On the trees, that's throughout the woods. That's a bit freaky.
Yeah, well, no, it is a problem. That one forest is a problem, and it is like the suicide capital of Japan. And as I say, if you look into it big time, you'll see there are teams of people that have to go into the woods. It's their paid, it's their job to go into the woods to find the bodies. There's teams of people that pick up the cars, because the first thing that lets people know that a certain person has vanished is the car's been left there for over a week and starts getting covered in dust and stuff. When they find the cars, they go and find the tents and then their belongings and then the person. But yeah, they have a lot of specialist teams that actually work in those woods, and everybody's been there, and all the TV people who've been in there and everything. Everyone has said there's a really, really horrible feeling in that woods. Now, I don't know whether that's because of the legends and the fact that everybody knows all those people have tragically lost their lives there, or whether the energy gets released by all these people who've lost their lives has actually permeated the trees or something. I don't know. But that mixed with the magnetism, you never know. That could induce something.
The magnetic iron could be affecting something within you to cause those feelings.
Well, high EMF will make it.
And it's a very, very dense wood. This isn't like a wood that we know in the UK. This is an incredibly dense wood.
Yeah, it's not very the brightest of woods, is it?
Not really. So it'd be incredibly difficult to just not get lost in there, I would think.
It's one of those places I've always thought, would I mind going for a visit or not? But it's the fact, to me, it's not to do with the legends that it's scary and it's this, that and the other. My only problem with it is because so many people have died there, for me, I'd feel disrespectful going into a place where that many people have died,
I know. I mean, annually, about 70 corpses are found a year.
Some are never found.
And some, obviously, are never found. I don't think I would want to visit this particular this forest, in all honesty. It's not one that appeals to me, put it that way.
No, I mean, it's not like we're in the middle of Rendlesham Forest or something,
No, I mean, when you think of the forests that I've been to, bearing in mind I like a wood in the middle of the night, but this is particularly...
I know you like a bit of wood.
This is probably one of the woods or forests I wouldn't go and visit.
What was that one we went to and there was a forest watcher there?
Epping?
No, the other one. That wasn't Epping. It was the one that you guys have just been to.
Hockley.
That's it, Hockley Woods, yeah. Yeah, no, that was quite a nice woods and there was a nice feeling there.
It's a great feeling in Hockley. I said this the other week when we were talking about it. I love Hockley Woods. It's great. It's very easy. You can't really get lost in Hockley Woods, in all honesty. But I don't think it's haunted, but I do think it's hugely elemental.
Exactly.
That's my vibe of Hockley Woods.
We said that last time, didn't we?
Yeah, I actually think that's hugely elemental. I've been to quite a few different woods around the country, and of all the woods, that's one of the ones I'd say is least haunted in regards to spirits. But
Epping's definitely got activity in it.
Mm.
Especially a certain place that we shall not mention, but it's not particularly nice there sometimes.
No, I like going to Epping because you have so many different levels of so many different levels in there. You're picking up on all sorts of different energy levels in there, which is great. From modern through more ancient energy levels, it's great in there. I loved Clapham Woods. That had a very distinct feeling to it, and it was very strange in Clapham. I've got to go back there because just to debunk something. I want to go back there just to debunk something. To be fair, but
you're just looking for an excuse to go to the woods again, aren't you?
I know. I do love a woods in the night. I have to say.
You do like your wood, yeah.
I do like woods. Now, we are drawing to the end of the show, my Marky Max. So, what's been going on in the chat room? You tell me what's been going on in the chat room.
Well, James is saying there must be a lot of sad spirits. They talk about Diaz de la Muerto, the Day of the Dead from Mexico. Paul's talking about Pac-Man, Circle of Hell, Unquenchable Thirst or Hunger. Usual stuff, really, in the chat room. But Paul's been behaving himself, which I'm quite surprised at.
Ah, blimey.
That's he's not feeling well, I don't think.
I think he probably is. He's been strict instructions to behave himself.
Always misses to sat beside him, giving him a stern look. I don't know.
Right, so let's wrap this up. Next week we're going to be talking dragons. There be dragons ahead.
Which sort of dragons?
I don't know yet. I haven't quite decided on that.
Are we talking European or Asian or mother-in-laws?
Well, it's fine. We can talk mother-in-laws. I've got great experience in those. Now,
Snap!
now there's a little heads up, my little lovely guys and girls out there. It is Parasearch's 1-year birthday party tomorrow.
Woohoo!
A bit late.
Sorry, somebody press the button. Press the button again. Click. Woohoo!
So we are going to have a birthday party, and you are obviously all invited on tomorrow evening's pop-up show. I have no idea who's attending mine. It's not my party, it's Parasearch's party. I have no idea who's attending. We shall see. And so feel free to join us at 9 p.m. tomorrow evening.
And
on
wine.
Sunday on the Spirit Dimension show, I have the lovely Kat Wilson coming in and with the lovely Claire Hinks to talk everything crystals and creating and handcrafting with crystals, because that is Kat's speciality. And she's also one of my friends. So it's going to be a great show, as always.
You're going to be getting drunk and talking about crystals.
Well, yeah, there's a firm possibility that could happen.
Yeah.
There's a firm possibility. It's just a Sunday evening after all.
It might happen tomorrow night as well.
And I'm on holiday myself now for the week. Whoop, whoop.
I've got 3 days off, so.
I have got a whole week of research to do that I've been very slacking on lately. I've been getting told off by all of the people I work with, so I need to go and do some research. Pardon?
Wonder why.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Anyway, on that note, thank you ever so much for listening. Thank you for joining us in the chat room. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and our Twitter accounts and our Facebook like and group page, and of course our Spreaker account. And if you miss any of the shows, don't forget you can listen back on Catch Up. And on that note, I say good night from me, and it's
Good night from her.
And on that note, we shall see you all, well, tomorrow. We'll see you all tomorrow. Good night.
Thanks for listening, guys. See ya.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.